Hey there, and welcome to Chat Wellness, the podcast where vibrant living meets insightful conversation. I'm your host, Naturally Linda, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you. Join me as we explore the world of wellness and healthy living, diving deep into in-depth conversations, expert insights, and practical tips to help you thrive. From special guests sharing their expertise to thought-provoking discussions on holistic well-being, each episode is crafted to inspire and empower you on your wellness journey. So get ready to elevate your mind, nourish your body, and rejuvenate your spirit. This is Chat Wellness, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Welcome to the very first episode of Chat Wellness. I'm your host, Linda. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce a truly remarkable individual in the world of health and wellness. Joining us is Barbara O'Neill, not only a globally renowned naturopath, but also a dear friend and mentor. Welcome, Barbara.
Hi, it's good to be here, Linda.
Thanks for being here. Barbara's impact on the health and wellness community is immense, with decades of expertise spanning across continents. As a globally respected figure, she has empowered countless individuals to take charge of their well-being through her insightful teachings and compassionate guidance. What sets Barbara apart is not just her impressive credentials, but her genuine authenticity and empathy. In our conversations today, we'll dive into Barbara's wealth of knowledge, covering topics from holistic health practices to practical lifestyle strategies for optimizing well-being. Whether you're a seasoned health enthusiast or just starting your wellness journey, I'm confident that Barbara's wisdom will inspire and enlighten us all. So let's just dive right in, Barbara.
That's right.
Where are you at right now? What part
I'm
of the
in
world?
I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee,
Okay.
and I'm starting meetings tonight at Hickson.
Okay.
Hickson Seventh-day Adventist Church are hosting a series.
Nice. And you have a very special person that's there with you for this, your daughter,
Yes,
Emma.
my daughter Emma, she's not far away. She's being filmed for a series on Bible studies. So, I spent yesterday with her, which was nice.
That's so exciting. So should we start right in with some questions that people,
Sure.
my customers and some of my staff had submitted? Okay, so Barbara, what's your morning routine? Could you describe a typical morning to us?
Okay, well, here's my typical morning. It's not very typical at the moment, but this is what I usually do. I usually wake at 5, and to wake at 5, I go to bed at 9. So I wake at 5. I usually have my prayer, I have my Bible study, and by 6, I do exercise, run up and down hills, and dive in the creek at Misty Mountain. And if I'm in Ireland and I'm with my friend Jenny, we dive in the sea. And when I was in Holland, I found a lake and I could dive in there. So I'm always looking for some water that I can dive in, because that cold plunge is very powerful. This morning I washed my hair and finished with cold, and here in Tennessee right at the moment, that cold's cold, but it doesn't chill you. It actually gives you this great tonic effect. And then I come back and I've usually got half an hour to put some red lentils on that may have been soaking, and cook my husband's vegetables. He likes vegetables for breakfast, and take long. Breakfast, I usually have one of my favorite is grapefruit. We have the sourdough toast. At the moment, I'm having simple needs sourdough toast. We have olive oil, avocado, cayenne pepper, red lentils on top, a few nuts. So that's breakfast. And I guess it all depends where I am. So it's 9 o'clock now, and I'm doing a podcast with Linda. If I wasn't doing a podcast with you, I would probably be answering some emails. If I'm at home, I would probably go in the garden. So the rest of the day is very different depending on where I am and what I'm doing. In some places, I'll do an 11 o'clock meeting, and then I'll do a afternoon or evening meeting. I usually have lunch about 1:30. Because I'm a grandmother, I like a little nap in the afternoon, usually lay down for half an hour. Because my mind is always going, I read. If I read, when the book falls on my chest, I can go to sleep. And yeah, we'll be here at the moment. I'll be doing meetings from 3 to 5 and meetings from 6 to 8. I like to be in bed by 9. So that's my daily routine.
Okay, well, thank you. I like to be in bed by 9 too. I've learned that through you that sleep is so important. We need to get that 8 hours, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's see what our next question is here. This is a staff question. One of my girls that works for me here asked this. What was the turning point for you wanting to help others improve their health?
Well, probably the turning point was just myself going through an experience where I didn't want to give my daughter drugs. She was, at Zema, she was only 16 months old. She had an earache, and over 6 weeks and 4 courses of antibiotics, the earache came back. I felt the frustration. I felt the frustration of not wanting to do the drugs, but not wanting to put my daughter at risk. And praise God, I just thank Him every day that little by little I met people, I read books, and I began to realize there's an alternative. So I know what it's like to be that mother that does not know what to do, does not want to go drugs, but doesn't want to put the child at risk. And that feeling is strong. And I believe it was that feeling that triggered me too. I want to help other mothers who are in that situation. So that's where it all stemmed from.
So they didn't have to feel like you.
That's right. That's right. The frustration, it's like the man I was dialoguing with, he said, my daughter's got a fever. I went to the doctor. I put her on these tablets. The fever goes away, but then the fever comes back 4 hours later. I said, yeah, it will. You got to let it run its course. And the only time you need to fear is, for a convulsion, say, is if the child's dehydrated. So just little tips like that. And if she's getting hot, put her in a teapot bath. That'll just the water in the teapot or lukewarm bath will pull some heat out of her body. And if she heats up an hour later, put her back in the bath and give her ice to suck on. Get a fancy straw, but anything to just keep that body hydrated. So little things like that. And I read the book Ministry of Healing by Ellen White, and she says the only hope of better things is the education of people in the right principles. So that sentence too put me on a path to explain why a fever happens, to explain how to get the fever down. So then I discovered books like Dr. Kellogg's book from the late 1800s, early 1900s. He wrote whole encyclopedias on health, on water therapy. And then I discovered that there's a book, Hydrotherapy for Nurses by Abbott. So nurses used to be taught this sort of thing. So yeah, my journey was a exciting one because of all the different people and books that I came across. And that's why when my husband said, well, Barbara, you've been banned in Australia, you can retire if you like. And I said to him, I think it would be wrong because I've never had so much knowledge and so much experience. No, I'll go overseas. He said, okay.
Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, so where can we find your schedule, Barbara? There's so many people impersonating you. I don't have to go into all that. I know you're dealing with all of that. But where can they get legitimate Barbara events, dates, and such?
Well, it's very easy to remember because it's the same title as my book. It's Self-Heal by Design. So www.selfhealbydesign.com, and that has my schedule. My husband arranges my schedule. He knows things I don't know. People say, when are you going to be here? I said, I don't know. I have in my mind where I am. I put everything into where I am. with a little bit of a thought of where will I be next week. But you can see it on that website. You can also download my lectures, because some people say, Barbara, I love watching on TikTok, but I only get little bits. I want the whole thing. So on that website, you can download the lectures too.
Perfect. And talking about books, do we have any updates on your new Sustain Me book?
Well, the good news is it's almost been proofread. We're nearly there. And of course, as soon as it's been proofread, it can go to the printer. So where are we? We're getting to late March. Let's just hope by May it becomes available. But it certainly will be up there as soon as it's available.
It will be worth the wait. I'm absolutely sure. We're all just so excited about that book. It's going to be natural remedies, health remedies, and such.
It will be a natural remedies. The laws of health I've coined in 2 words: sustain me, and that's the title of the book. And I start at the head and I look at the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the respiratory, and I go down the whole body. And just, little ailments that happen in these parts of the body, and simple remedies that you can use to bring relief and boost healing.
Wonderful. We're excited. We cannot wait. So, what can we expect from you in the next 5 years? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have many thoughts on that.
Okay.
Michael's already starting to book me for 2025.
Oh, wow.
When we look back at what happened in 2020, 2021, we realized that the powers that be were so successful in shutting the whole world down, they possibly will try it again. I'll just work while I can. The Bible says we work while there's light, because the darkness is coming, or the night is coming. And even people that don't believe in God, they look at the world today and they know we can't go on much longer like this. But I've got some good news. God has a plan. God has a plan to make things right. I'll work while I can.
Absolutely. And I'm in conversation with Michael. We're going to get you here in 2024. I don't know if he's talked to you about that yet. So
No, he hasn't talked to me about that, but I just know he's planning things. Like he'll say to me, "Oh, it's a bit difficult to get you here. Do you want to go there?" I said, "Yeah, I want to go there." So he'll take me there, and he said, this other one." I said, "Nah, those people prove to be difficult. Nah, don't want to go there."
we're
So
excited to have you possibly come to Pennsylvania. So
that's
we're
good.
working on that.
And if someone says, "Whoa, who's difficult?" Well, I would say 98% of people that I go to are just fantastic, because they're interested in health, they're excited. So it most of the time it works out very well.
Wonderful. Okay, let's see what else we have here. All right, so we're going to move on to some health related questions. Not drinking with our meals. I've heard you talk about that a lot, but a lot of people have not. Can we talk about that and why that is?
Certainly will. I think it's become a big habit, because people are so busy today. They rush here, they rush there, they don't get time to drink, they sit to eat. And if we eat a meal dehydrated, the first thing we're going to want to do is drink water. But I know that the importance of not drinking with the meals. And then the question is, well, why? Well, digestion is a chemical process, and water dilutes chemicals. Water dilutes the digestive enzymes that are required to break down the meal. And I got a book, it was probably about 12 years ago now, and I'd heard about this story. The book was written in 1844 about a man who'd sustained a gunshot wound to his stomach, just a young man. The doctor fixed him up, but he ever had a little hole into his stomach. So the doctor, named Dr. William Beaumont, he'd get a piece of food and put it on a silk thread, and he put it into the hole, pull it out, put it into the hole. And he showed how, years, and he meticulously documented the years of research he'd done on Alexis St. Martin. And he looked at the things that slowed digestion down, and one of them was drinking with the meals. So, he published this book on the physiology of digestion in about 1840. So this has been known for a long time. But I think that people just get so busy they forget about it. So I always have water next to me. So I say to parents, to adults, get the kids to drink water between meals. And if any of my little grandchildren would say, I don't want to drink water, I'd say, I'm terribly sorry, sweetheart, you can't have breakfast or you can't have lunch, because our digestive enzymes, number one, they need water to be made. So water needs to be drunk between meals. And when the digestive enzymes are active in the meal, if we're drinking water, obviously a mouthful doesn't make a difference, a mouthful or two, but large glasses of water with the meal, it totally dilutes the digestive enzymes. And what has to happen then is digestion has to stop. The water has to be basically taken out, because the digestive enzymes can only work in a very acid environment. Water dilutes acid. So ideally, you stop drinking half an hour before the meal, and ideally, you don't drink large amounts till about an hour and a half to 2 hours after the meal. But I say to people, experiment on yourself. I try and drink at least 3 glasses of water before I eat breakfast. And I can go 2.5 hours sometimes after breakfast and not need to drink water. So the Bible says in 1 Thessalonians 5:21, prove all things and hold fast to whatever is good. So I say to people, try it. Try it. Have a day where you don't drink. Drink with your meals. You probably find you get a little bit bloated. That's a common thing because the food can't be digested. But ideally, to do a good experiment, you give yourself a full week of not drinking with your meals, drinking before. I know my father, he put a little alarm on his clock because he just never remembered. But I go to bed with water next to my bed, so as soon as you wake up, see water, we'll drink.
That's a great idea.
Oh, I think we just about explored water.
Yeah, that was good. Okay. So another question kind of in that line, and we had beautiful, wonderful homemade broths out there at Living Springs. Why do we want to eat something very light like broth for our evening meal?
Well, I think the best illustration is a car. So let's say I'm going on a long journey, and every half hour, every hour, I just stop into the gas station and put a little bit in. And then drive a bit more, put a little bit in. Drive a little bit, put a little bit in. And then I get to the end of my journey, fill up my gas tank and go and park in the garage. It doesn't make any sense. And so let's come back to the human machinery. And many people are doing that without even really thinking about it. And again, I think it's the fast society. I also think it's people going to bed too late. So what would keep people up? It's technology. So people go to bed too late. They need an alarm to wake them up. That's a bit of a concern. We should not need alarms. I wake up in the morning, and the reason I wake up in the morning is because all my body systems have had a rest and a recharge, and that's when you open your eyes. So when people go to bed late, they need the alarm to get up. And we're the only creature on the planet that uses alarm clocks, by the way. Because if you go to bed and allow your body a full 8 hours, you will naturally wake up. The only time I use an alarm clock is if I've got an early morning flight. And when the alarm goes off, I almost feel indignant that my sleep has been interrupted. So you see, that person is starting the day almost on the wrong foot. They haven't had their full recharge, rest and rejuvenation through the night. And then, No time to eat. I got to rush out the door, just grab a bit here, grab a bit there, grab a bit there. Everything's so busy, busy, busy. And the only time they've got time is at the end of the day to have the huge meal. Because with the human machinery, if you have your huge meal at the end of the day and park yourself into the garage, which of course is our bed, the body says, finally, we've got some nutrient. Oh no, they've gone to sleep. We're going to have to store it. And that's what's happening today, and how many Australians and Americans are overweight. And we all know the old adage, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and tea like a pauper. And a lady said, what do paupers eat? I said, sometimes nothing. See, when the sun goes down, our body knows it. And all body systems start to slow down. So the most effective time to eat our food is in the morning. And then, through the. So what I did yesterday, I had breakfast at 8:30 and I had lunch at 2:30, and then there's no need to eat again. But if I have breakfast at 7, lunch at 12:31, I'll need a little something at night. But ideally it's light, because all I'm doing is going to bed.
That's a great explanation. And, you were the first one that brought that awareness to me about not eating a heavy meal, because that's what I had always done. And it's just really been changing. I don't have the bloating anymore. I wake up feeling really good. So it's all those awarenesses are so important. And, that's why I wanted to do this podcast and
Yeah.
why you do
And
what you do.
another point is that when we go to sleep, our stomach wants to sleep too.
Yeah.
When a person's had a huge meal, that's not possible.
No, not at all. Well, thank you for explaining that. Let's see here. Oh, so this is a question. Let's chat a little bit about mushrooms. Should we avoid mushrooms? Are there certain situations where we should avoid mushrooms? Are there certain times we should use mushrooms? Your thoughts on mushrooms, please.
Well, something that I have learnt in my many years on planet Earth is never to be absolute.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of absolute in we need 8 hours sleep a night, and we do need to drink, again, 8 hours of 8 ounce, 8 glasses of 8 ounce waters. So there are some things that if you want good health, it's important to do. But regarding mushrooms, much depends on the person. If a person has a yeast problem that they're conquering in their body, they're best keeping away from mushrooms until they conquer the yeast problem. B12 is a nice source of B12. B12 is found in mushrooms, but then B12 is an airborne bacteria, can be found in organic root vegetables, can be found by eating an apple straight off the tree. So it's not necessarily that we eat mushrooms for our B12. I leave it up to the person. Do I eat mushrooms? Occasionally. I quite enjoy them. I might have them once a month. So again, it depends on the person.
Okay. I love that answer. It's not absolute. That's a perfect answer. Let's talk a little bit about osteoporosis and how we can help fend it off. Are there things we can do, awarenesses that you can share with us?
Okay, so I need to give a bit of science here, because I always like to give the reasons why. There are 2 main types of bone cells. There's osteoclast, and osteoclast cells take away the old bone. And then there's osteoblast. And how you remember it is osteo's bone, blast is new. So the osteoblast, they come in and build up the new bone. And God designed the body so that the osteoclast and the osteoblast are about equal. But one of the problems today is many have a hormonal imbalance. And the hormone imbalance is caused by many things: the contraceptive pill, the IUD, our exposure to plastics, that's a big disruptor. Eating meat that's been given growth stimulus, there's another big disruptor. So there's a whole lot of disruptors. Now, what the disruption that causes is estrogen dominance and progesterone deficiency. Estrogen is the hormone that stimulates osteoclast. Progesterone is the hormone that stimulates osteoblast. So if someone's got estrogen dominance, they've got too much osteoclast, too much old bone taken away. And because they've got progesterone deficiency, there's not enough osteoblast coming in to replace the taking of the old bone. And I'm sure this is particularly interesting to you, Linda, as if you've got a yam cream that remedies this problem. And so the yam cream that you have, the comfort, it boosts it boosts progesterone, which boosts osteoblast cells. So the taking or the applying of a yam cream on the skin, it helps to bring that balance back. And a lot of people with osteoporosis don't realize that a very important part of conquering this is to balance the hormones. So recently, in fact, it was only 15 weeks ago, I broke my radius, total broke of this and out of alignment. Anyway, long story short, walking on the rocks with my grandchildren, got a slippery rock. Body went up in the air and slammed down on that wrist. Now, the severe pain and the look of that wrist told me I needed to get some professional help. And I'm very glad for the skill of the orthopedic surgeon that pulled this all back into place. So when I was getting my plaster changed at 4 weeks, by the way, I had cut off half the plaster so I could do comfrey there. And as you can see, it's healed. The nurse said to me, "Do you have osteoporosis?" I said, "No." He said, "Have you had a test?" I said, "No." And he started to laugh, and I realized how silly that sounds. How do I know? Well, if my body slipped and went up in the air and slammed down on that wrist, more would have broken than just that wrist if I'd had osteoporosis. That's my theory. And the reason why I also say no is because I have absolutely no symptoms and I do what you must do to keep strong bones. I run every morning. I've rebounded this morning, which I had to because it's raining outside. So that defying gravity is the best muscle and bone strengthening exercise. And that's what NASA discovered because their astronauts would lose bone and muscle strength from being in outer space. And the only exercise that prevented so much loss and restored strength quicker was rebounding, which is your little mini trampoline. So rebounding strengthens muscles and bones. The yam creams that restores the hormonal imbalance, which can restore the osteoblast and osteoclast cells. But also, one more point is a lot of people are mineral deficient today. And bones are not made of calcium, they're made of minerals. And they're made of a whole plethora of minerals, 12 main minerals and 64 trace. Where are we going to find that? We find it in dark green leafy organic vegetables. We find it in organic vegetables. We find it in the whole salts like the Celtic salt or the Baja salt. But a lot of minerals are lost because of stimulants. So stimulants like caffeine, refined sugar, alcohol, cigarettes, even medication, because they all have an acid effect on the body responds by pulling calcium out of the bones to help alkalize the situation. So that's another cause of osteoporosis is bones losing their minerals because of a high acid diet, minerals not being replaced because people are not eating organic food or having the whole salt. So I've endeavored to touch on this because, as you can see, it's quite a subject. And the good news in my new book, Sustain Me, there's a whole chapter on osteoporosis.
Oh, wonderful. Another thing to make us look forward to your book. Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Let's see. Oh, so somebody asked this, your thoughts on black seed oil. I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about that. I know when I would drink it, it's a very potent oil, and I just would love to know your thoughts on that.
Okay, now black seed oil. Personally, I haven't used it, or I have not even tasted it.
Okay.
And I just want to state right now that there are no wonder cures.
No.
And unfortunately, black seed is being hailed as a wonder cure. There is one wonder cure, and that is the human body when given the right condition. And unfortunately, instead of putting in the hard yards of going to bed early, exercising every day, drinking all your water, eating plants, etc., etc., a lot of people don't want to put the hard yards in and want to grab for the quick fixes, but there are no quick fixes. That being said, I acknowledge that the black seed oil is incredibly high in antioxidants. Anything dark is, like your dark berries, your dark legumes, your beetroot. So the darker the colour, the higher the antioxidant. So definitely the black seed oil can give a little boost because of its high antioxidant and also high in antibacterial properties. There's no doubt about that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. So this is kind of a interesting question. One of my customers presented it to me. What are your thoughts about having a biopsy and that possible spread of, if that biopsy comes back malignant, that spreading because you had that biopsy?
Um, Linda, you should never say never, but I
Okay.
have to say I
Okay.
would never have a biopsy.
Okay.
So I was talking to a man only yesterday, and he had symptoms of prostate problems, and they wanted to do a biopsy, and he declined. And he said to me, and this is exactly my sentiments, he said, I wouldn't do anything different to what I'm doing now if I knew it was malignant or benign, because the fact is the prostate is swollen, it is possible cancer. So let's just do to the body what you would do if you had cancer. Now, if I had cancer, I would not do chemotherapy, radiotherapy, or surgery. I would treat it naturally. And that's exactly what this man said. So, whatever it is, let's just give the body the conditions for healing. And if it's not cancer, you've lost nothing. If it is cancer, it's quite a possibility that you'll conquer it. So, I would never have a biopsy.
Okay. Thank you. That was just an intriguing question to me. I'd never really thought about that. But now I know you had also talked about having mammograms and pap smears and things like that. And that's not something that you think is good for our body because it actually causes damage or can cause damage.
That's right. That's right. And disease can thrive in damaged parts of the body. I never tell anyone what to do.
Right.
I just say what I would do.
Right.
And a surgeon wanted to have a little look at my uterus once because I'd had a very heavy bleed. And that was just before I went into menopause, which was at the age of 55. He said, I'd like to just do a uteroscopy and I'll do a pap smear while I'm there. And I just smiled and said, no, thank you. And I never had the uteroscopy. I never had the pap smear. What I did was I went home and I just gave my body the right conditions. And you see, it didn't surprise me that this happened to me because for 7 years I was on the contraceptive pill from the age of, my teens till I was 23. See, all my girlfriends were all on the pill. No one ever even asked or questioned. And it's so important that we question. And so, even though I'd had no symptoms up until the age of 55, I thought I'm pretty right because I live a good lifestyle. But that 7 years on the pill had thrown the hormones out. And I believe that I had maintained it well because of my lifestyle. But that experience said to me, I need to go on a yam cream. And I did. I went on a yam cream for about 14 months. Actually, I went on for 12 months, stopped, got a few hot flushes, went back on the Yam cream another 6 months, stopped, no flushes. And I've just turned 70, so for the last 15 years, I've functioned very, very well after balancing my hormones, and I just understood that that was a result of the pill I took many years ago.
Oh, interesting. Thank you. Thank you for that
And
information.
just one more point on the
Sure.
mammogram.
Yeah.
The age of 40, I found a lump in the side of my breast. I went to my doctor. She did a scan and a mammogram. I will never have another mammogram. It was the most horrible experience.
It is.
And I read one woman where she said, this is how I describe it. You lie on the side of the highway, put your breast on the highway, and a semi-trailer drives over it. And Dr. Lorraine Day, back in the 80s when she conquered her breast cancer, she showed how every mammogram increases your risk of breast cancer, because not only is the breast being squeezed, and whenever you squeeze tender tissue like the breast tissue, you will damage some of it. And while it's being squeezed and damaged, then you've got this radiation going through it. So I do not have.
Your description of the truck running over it is very accurate. It's not a pleasant experience at all.
No, it's not.
Ugh. Okay. So a lot of people are talking about parasite cleanses. I know in some of your seminars that I attended, you talked about using the wormwood and the clove. The question continues, if that's something you think we should do, how often should we do it? I know the situation we live in, if we have animals and things like that, will probably constitute how often. But just if you could share some thoughts on parasite cleanses, because it's kind of the thing. Everybody's talking about them right now, and I'd never heard about them until probably 2 years ago.
My question is, why are they there?
Yeah.
If you've got a body that you're giving the right conditions, you're keeping it well hydrated, you're exercised, you're eating a plant-based diet, you're giving it the right conditions, that is a strength.
Okay.
But the other is if you have exposure to animals. So if you've got animals outside the home, I still believe that you need to do a parasite cleanse once a year. If you've got animals inside the home, you need to be doing a parasite cleanse once every 6 months. If you've got animals in your bedroom, you probably need to do a parasite cleanse once a month. That's the truth on the matter. And when I was a girl in the 50s, 60s, I didn't know anyone that had an animal in the home. But today there are many animals in the homes, and most people don't realize that they are meat-eating animals. They do carry parasites.
Okay. And you had talked about taking capsules at the seminar. It was clove and wormwood. Any specific protocols that you like?
Well, the wormwood and the black walnut are incredibly bitter, and it is those bitter actives in them that do kill worms, kill parasites. So that's why the most pleasant way to take it is by capsules. And by the way, if anyone takes a capsule of any sort, it must be taken with the meal.
Okay.
Because you need strong hydrochloric acid to break those capsules down. So
Good
taking
point.
it between meals when there's not hydrochloric acid activity, sometimes it can go straight through your body. So it's
Interesting.
important to take tablets or capsules with the meal.
Okay.
And then one lady said, but Barbara, you said we shouldn't drink with the meals. Well, a mouthful's not going to make a big difference. And some people will put the fruit in the mouth and throw the capsule in and then swallow it down with the fruit. But I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
Necessity is the mother of invention. Another point too is that especially parasites, worms in the gut, hate pumpkin seeds. So starting every meal with a quarter of a cup of well chewed up comfrey pumpkin seeds in the mouth, that can certainly be a deterrent. And it's probably not a surprise to know that raw garlic is another big deterrent. And if you find it hard to handle raw garlic, you can mash it into avocado, or you can crush it into a bowl of hot soup, and that just calms it down, because garlic is high in sulfur. And if someone's got a tender gut, it can be a little irritating.
Great. Straightforward answers. That's what we like. That's what we like about you. To the point. I love it. Okay. So here is a question about, well, diverticulitis. So many people have diverticulitis. I have a friend, he was on an incredibly strong round of antibiotics and he developed diverticulitis. So can you just touch upon your thoughts on
Okay.
this?
So I believe that antibiotics can be used to save a life, but that's about all. Most people should go through their life never having them. There are so many simple natural treatments that you can use to deal with things that are happening in the body, rather than go for the antibiotics. One writer said taking an antibiotic is like dropping an atomic bomb in the gut, because what did the atomic bomb do? It killed the good and bad alike, and that's what the antibiotics do. They kill the good and the bad. And the good are our microbiome, or our natural flora, our healthy or friendly bacteria that live in our gut. And those friendly bacteria, the two permanent or main ones are Lactobacillus acidophilus and bifidus bacteria. They're essential for the building of our immune system. And a lot of people don't realize how much our immune system is linked to our gut flora. And so strong rounds of antibiotics, they knock that back seriously. So now we haven't got that protection in our gut, and things like not endometriosis. What's the other one that you just mentioned?
The diverticulitis?
Diverticulitis. The
Yeah.
diverticulitis. My
Yep.
mind went other pathway for a moment there.
Yeah.
So what diverticulitis is, so if you just imagine the lining of the colon, these are like little pockets. And those little pockets can get some feces in them, and the neck of the pocket can even dry out. And so you can imagine that. And itis is inflammation. So you've got that little bit of feces there, and that can be the source of pathogenic microorganisms manifesting themselves in there. So medicine has no cure for diverticulitis, but there certainly is a cure for diverticulitis. Wearing castoral compresses on the abdomen can penetrate deep and help to break up those little pockets. Consistency is the key. The person would need to wear the castoral compresses, and on my poultice DVD, or my lecture on YouTube, they're explained, and that helps to break up those little pockets. They need to be worn probably at least 5 hours a day for at least 5 days a week, and it could take a few months. Now, as well as that, drinking adequate water, that's vital, and plant-based diet. Plant-based diet meaning that beautiful insoluble cellulose that is in your fruits and your vegetables. That's very important. Some people are told if you've got diverticulitis, don't eat seeds, don't eat nuts, don't eat strawberries because the little seeds could get stuck. All you need to do is blend up the seeds and do a fine powder, because it's a pity to stop those because of their great fats and proteins. There is one treatment that can help to boost things along in the healing, and that is colonic irrigations. Colonic irrigation is a system where you've just got warm water going in and out of the colon, and that warm water can soften the neck of the little diverticuli pocket, and even the water can sort of start to go in those little pockets and clean them out. And if someone can't find a colonic irrigation therapist, they could get an enema kit, and if you do 3 enemas in a row over about an hour and a half, little by little, that water will get up a little further. So that's a little bit more work, but that's a home treatment that can work.
Okay.
At the same time, the gut flora has to be replaced. And so if someone's been on antibiotics, they really need to go on a probiotic supplement, taken 3/4 of an hour before breakfast for at least 3 months to help restore that lost gut flora. At the same time, implementing sauerkraut, the plant-based yogurts, you can get some nice ones today, that can help too.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Let's see what else we have on here. Well, we talked a little bit about hormones already. A question that was submitted. Can you explain the role of hormones in maintaining overall health and well-being? That's kind of a big question.
Yes, it is, but the hormones play a pivotal role in so many things. So the best way to explain it is to go through some of the symptoms of someone having a hormonal imbalance. It can be insomnia, it can be anxiety, it can be heart disease, it can be specific hormonal things like fibroids in the uterus, cysts on the ovaries, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, prostate problems, prostate cancer, uterine cancer, could be lumps in the breast, calcified deposits in the breast cancer, could be thyroid problems because the high estrogen opposes thyroid function. Any lady that gets migraines just before her menstruation every month, that's another clear sign of a hormonal imbalance. So as you can see by what I just mentioned, Linda, there's a huge amount of things that are affected by this imbalance in the hormones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, this is when we were up at Sprague Park in New York. You talked about plastic clothing. And, it's awareness that I don't think a lot of people have. And can we just talk a little bit about the importance of the things that are on our skin because our skin is breathing, it's living.
Absolutely. Our skin is like millions of little mouths.
Yeah.
Your skin absorbs whatever touches it. The skin throws off waste. The skin also, through the perspiration, it throws off waste, but that perspiration also helps to manage temperature in the body. And so because of this, we need to be very careful of what touches the skin. The skin also breathes. That's one point a lot of people don't realize. There's the very sad story of the little girl who was painted gold to be an angel in a plane. She died. You can't cover the whole skin. So understanding that, be mindful of what touches the skin. And there are 3 fabrics that were created in a chemical laboratory. So immediately, I don't want that fabric because it's basically plastic. And one is polyester, another is nylon, and the third one is acrylic. So I stay in a lot of houses, and I'm always very happy when I see cotton sheets and a quilt with a cotton covering. And I was couple of months ago now, I was in a place and they had a cotton sheets, a cotton quilt, which was a thin one. And they said, and if you get cold, there's this little blanket, but it was a polyester blanket. Well, I rolled it up and put it up the top of the cupboard. Now, the reason I did that is because I actually don't want it near me because it gives off positive ions and attracts positive ions. And those positive ions inhibit oxygen uptake in the body. So, yeah, you don't want to touch it. And a lot of people don't realize that. In fact, there's hardly a home I go into that doesn't have as a throw over the lounge, those polyester blankets. And I'm not going to criticize anywhere I stay. I will never do that. I'm so thankful that people have agreed me to have me in their home because many people are too scared to have me in their home.
Oh,
They
okay.
think I'm going to say, what have you got that for? What's that doing in your fridge? Well, I will never do that because it's
No.
our God-given right to choose what we do to our body. But most people don't realize the dangers. So I would much rather speak as we are speaking now, Linda, and the person go, oh dear, I've got one of those. But what we do at Misty, and I notice at the retreat in Living Springs, they've got their eye out now for the cotton blankets. And I noticed the last time I went there, the little blankets over people's knees, because when you're fasting, you often feel the cold.
Yeah.
They're cotton. So go for your cotton blanket. So we're just going into winter, are we? At home?
In
Yes, we're
Australia?
just going into winter in
Yeah.
Australia. Here in the US, it's going into summer.
Mhm.
Well, in winter, I have flannelette sheets, I have a woolen blanket, and a feather quilt, and I'm toasty warm in the
We have all
natural.
linen. I love the linen on our bed. I just love that.
I love the linen too. In fact, my daughter Emma just bought me a linen nightie. I
Oh,
look like I'm out of Little House on the Prairie in it.
I love that.
And it's very big, but oh, it's so nice to sleep in. So
Yeah.
this is an area, you're right, Linda, many people don't realize. One lady said that she'd heard my lectures and her daughter came home with this pretty little nightie. And she said, look what my girlfriend gave me. And the lady looked at it and went, oh no, it's polyester. You can't wear this. And of course, what's the little 9-year-old girl going to do? She is not happy. Her girlfriend gave her this. So this lady said to me, well, what do I do? I said, you go to Joann's or a material shop with the little girl and get her to pick out a pretty cotton, or most people don't realize rayon, and viscose, which is bamboo, a linen. Yeah, I love linen. And pick out a pretty print, and then go and buy a pattern. You know, I sew, but I need a pattern. And it's well worth buying a sewing machine and make a pretty nightie for your daughter and make another one so she can give that to her girlfriend. And if she really wants to wear that nightie, she can wear it over her cotton nightie.
Awesome.
It's not the best, but it's better than touching the skin. So please be mindful of your skin. When I was in London in 2021, they lost my bags for 5 weeks.
Gosh.
Yes, for 5 weeks. I look back now and I know God had a plan, because it really has opened my work in Ireland, because I went to Ireland waiting for them. But the point of me telling you that, I had to buy some clothes. All I had was the clothes that I had on, and there's only so much rinsing out every night and drying that you can do. So I went into a big department store to buy a cotton bra. I have to tell you that 5% of the bras I looked at were cotton. So there's not much. But ladies, we the consumer have power. When we start buying the cotton bras, and by the way, there is a brand called Booty. It's Boody. All of their underwear, their sports clothes, which are great, are about 90% bamboo or viscose, and they're stretchy. They've got a bit of elastine in them. I don't mind a woolen jumper that might be 80% wool with a little bit of nylon in it, as long as what's touching my skin, and the majority of my clothes are made out of natural fiber.
Okay, well, thanks for bringing that awareness to us, because I think it's really, really important. All right, so we're going to end on a little bit more personal note. What is your favorite pastime and why?
Do you know, one of my favorite pastimes is lecturing to people and seeing their eyes open.
Aw.
That is such a wonderful thing. And of course, my two favorite subjects are people understanding and beginning to know that there is a God of heaven that loves them. And then the other one is looking after the body that he gave us. And so looking after that, being able to conquer disease and ailments in the body, because I know it's God's desire is for us to be well, not sick. So that is a favorite pastime. I love knitting. I love sewing. I love making full circle dresses for my little granddaughters. But I haven't been able to knit. See, I can't
Ooh, that's
pull that
getting much
right.
better.
getting better, 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 better. Yeah, at first I could only go like
Yeah.
that. So, and I can even touch my little finger now. I'm getting there.
Mm.
And I'm learning that Rome wasn't built in a day. And even though these bones knitted beautifully in 6 weeks, there's other tissues that are taking their time. But I've got my little exercise ball that I squeeze every day. There is progress. So I'm sure in a few months' time, those
Yeah.
fingers will come to my palm. So I'll be able to
Yeah.
knit again soon. I love sewing. I love gardening.
Yes.
When I know my grandchildren are coming, I plant a lot of pansies because you've got to have flowers for little girls.
Mm. Absolutely. And your hand, I see a huge improvement from just a month ago when you were at Living Spring. So definitely
Great.
progress.
Well,
Definitely.
that's encouraging because it seems to have sat at this for a while. But what I've started doing is measuring it.
Mm.
And it used to be 2.5 inches. Now it's 2 inches. I'm looking at that. I think it might even be an inch now. But
Yay.
it's also an important point, Linda, is that nature's process of healing and upbuilding is gradual. And to the impatient, it seems slow, and I'm impatient. I want to be better now. But
Absolutely.
as long as there's improvement, give the body time. It's an important aspect of healing.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Do you have a funny story about yourself?
I do have a funny story, and it's about booty.
Oh, okay.
In 2021, I was in Idaho, and I was with a lady, and we went into a shop like Trader Joe's, and there was a whole stand of booty. It's the first time I've
Wow.
seen it. And I said, wow, look at this. And I bought bras and undies and leggings for my daughter, singlets, tops. I spent, I think, about $160. And I got back to the house I was staying with, and I'm taking all the wrappings off, and I read the fine print, made in Australia.
Oh, gosh. Oh,
So
my gosh.
I'm buying all of this stuff thinking, wow. And here I'm an Australian, and I bought it in
That's
Idaho.
crazy. That's
Anyway,
crazy.
we had a laugh about that.
All right. Our final question here. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you, where would it be?
Well, I love Australia.
Okay.
I love the sunburnt country, but I live in a rainforest. So, in Australia, you've got all climates.
Mm.
I love Australia. I was very concerned about the restrictions they put on us. At the moment, 45% tax. There's a
Mm.
lot of things about Australia I don't like. So there's aspects of different countries that I just love. I've just been in Peru. Beautiful, just beautiful up in the Andes. And the man that's there, he's from the US. He said, I just love living here. There are no rules.
Wow.
There are no rules. So I guess it's hard for me to say what part I love the most. I love that up in the Andes. And when I was in Andalusia last year, which is the northern part of southern Spain, I was in the most beautiful area with even though they had had no rain for 5 months and the hills are all covered with olive trees, I was in a little mountainous section that had running streams and pools. That was very beautiful. So, and I saw all these fig trees and I said, can you invite me back when the figs are on?
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome.
So, it's hard for me to say, Linda, because um, I find people everywhere. You get beautiful people, the and that's what my friend in Peru said. He said the people are just so lovely here, and so you get city people and country people. The country people usually are a little bit more friendly. So I haven't given you a very good answer. I think the answer
Did?
is everywhere has its beautiful spots.
Yeah. You brightened up when you said Australia. So
Yeah,
that's your home at heart.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Well, this has been so fun. I just love this time and I appreciate you taking the time to share all your knowledge with all of us. And, we're so excited about your new book coming out. And any final thoughts you'd like to share? So you're in Tennessee right now, and then I don't know where
And
you're going to be going next.
I'll be in Washington, D.C. next week.
Okay.
And then on the 7th of April, very exciting day where I fly home. And I'll be home for 3 weeks.
Yay.
And then I do New Zealand, and then I do Thailand, and then I go through Europe.
Okay.
So my last few words I would like to be this, and that is natural healing requires faith. Faith in an incredible body with an inbuilt ability to heal itself. Faith in the great God of heaven who created this body with an inbuilt ability to heal. And faith is something you can't see. And patience is necessary.
Yes.
These fingers aren't touching but they will. I have faith.
They will.
Those fingers will touch there. And that's an illustration of our healing. And I often say to people, it took 20 years for this condition to develop. It won't take 20 years to go away, but it might take 1 or 2 years. So please have faith. Have faith in this incredible body, in the great God of heaven who definitely puts his blessing on the healing modules that work with the human body, and give the body time. And the other aspect is to thank God every day. Every day I thank God that I didn't break my right hand. Every day I thank God that there is improvement. So there's always something that you can thank God for. And I believe that thanking God every day for who you are, what you have, and remember, he's only given us one day at a time. So just love the moment, love the day, and be very thankful for that. So it's raining out today. I couldn't do my walk, but I'm sure the farmers are happy.
Yes. Yes.
So no matter what happens, it's a blessing for us when we choose to be thankful.
Absolutely. Beautiful words to end with. And you're always so encouraging, and you give us all hope and real things that we can do to help heal our body. We find those right conditions, and your voice is important. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to do what you do. And thank you for being here on my very first podcast. It was very special. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Linda. And I pray that God continues to bless your ministry in the podcast, and also your business and the amazing yam cream that you're making. So thank you for your contribution.
Okay. Well, till next time, we'll chat later.
Yep. Bye-bye, Linda.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Chat Wellness. I hope you found inspiration and valuable insights to support your journey towards vibrant living. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to Chat Wellness on your favorite podcast platform. And hey, sharing is caring. So if you know someone who could benefit from our discussions, be sure to spread the word. Remember, creating wellness is not just a solo endeavor. It's about uplifting each other and creating a ripple effect of positivity in the world. Until next time, stay well, stay inspired, and keep creating wellness in every aspect of your life. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Chat Wellness.